Okay, I think it all worked.
It'll warm up while you were here.
Yeah. It is cold out there.
Must be a real happy storm today. He's got
I wish I should be preaching, but I'm not. Otherwise, I could do a hellfire sermon.
That's right. Hellfire.
Oh, yeah, we need that.
Yeah, to warm up.
No, to be safe.
It's a metaphorical hammer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Well, my weather report says the sun was supposed to be shining at 8 o'clock.
Well, it is.
And clear, well,
Just not
just
sure.
not on us.
Really? It's supposed to get 25 below up here tonight. or something.
No way.
I saw it.
No,
It was 6 at my house when I left.
No, tonight.
I think 9.
What was
Or 2.
an advisory sent out? Maybe it was a wind chill.
That's probably a wind chill.
Monument. Here we go. Wind chill advisory. Yeah.
What is it, 25?
As far as 20 below now.
Yeah, tonight's going to be a cold one, and tomorrow night.
Okay, brought enough for all of us, Marilyn.
I think we have enough.
Oh, communion. Make sure things are good.
Yeah. Perfect.
Both of our flags, the poles are bent.
Oh, yeah. I wonder why. Just because they got blown and then
I don't know, they're really bent. But, so I can't put them on. I had to repair one of the bases, and I did that, and I thought, I'll put them up, but I can't do it. So voluntary?
The travelers from Denver.
Yeah. How did you like that travel?
It was cold. What's the thermometer in the car?
This is kind of like winter used to be, you guys realize.
I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
it really is.
A real cold winter.
A real cold winter.
Snow.
It quite reminds me of when Marilyn and I were dating. Actually, it was about the time we got engaged, we were dating and got engaged. But I was the baker at the site of the restaurant in Elkhart, in Southern Indiana.
Oh my.
And so from January to April, I was the baker there. I had to see up early in the morning at 4:30 and go out on the ice and snow of Northern Indiana.
That is very cold.
What's that?
Northern Indiana.
Oh,
That can be dark and
Hey,
cold.
I grew up in Woodland, Illinois, and it was typical to have 20
yeah.
days with damp, 90%.
Oh,
I was working
wow.
college, 80-some%.
It goes to one winter.
Now,
Yeah.
I work security with a computer. My shift ended at 4 a.m.
Oh, man.
and I had an automatic transmission in my car,
Oh, no.
and it wouldn't shift out first.
Oh, that's cold.
Then with 60 chill back.
well, your dad used to be a Phillips petroleum guy, and he had the wheels with,
Gunnison.
Oh, sure.
They get one truck running, and they drive around the streets of Gunnison, and they hook a tow chain, and they drag the cars until the grease in the wheel would break loose.
Not good.
Well, that's cold.
It's often one of the coldest spots in the nation.
Oh, it is. It just, the air just lays in there. Oh, here comes Pastor Marilyn, she's preparing the feast.
actually, weren't prepared to feed.
Well, I made bread, that's what she's
Oh, there you go,
The baker.
She's the man.
She's setting it up.
Yeah, you used to bake, so you could probably make a pretty hefty good loaf of bread.
I didn't make bread and pie. Marilyn and I are both big pie makers, that's why I was a pie.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah.
I love making
Mary
pies.
makes good pies.
You make good pies. We have some pie making shops in this church.
Yeah, we do. We can do that.
Becky,
Do you know the two guys, they're brothers,
John.
from First Night who were in this band called Lotus?
Oh,
They're an instrumental band.
yeah.
They're quite big.
I'm playing their names now.
Yeah, when they were in high school, they had a band called Pie Tasters.
They did?
Yeah. That was cute.
That is cute.
The Pie Tasters.
Well, are you still on worship commission, Dennis?
I'm the chairperson.
You are the chair?
I'll have
Is
you.
this your talking?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for, in the witness of Vern, I want to present this back to you.
He found it.
Where did you find it?
What was laying over there?
No way.
Somebody's.
Thank goodness. I've been looking for this.
So I picked it up out of the corner, took it home, intending to bring it back to you guys.
Oh, this is your dad's week.
That's not mine. I think it came from Red Valley.
It came from Red Valley. I bought some at the same time.
And I bought one after you did.
This maybe was Mary Ann's weaving.
Oh, that's so cool.
I haven't heard her last name.
This will look great in my collection.
You guys,
Church, so we gotta make sure that's.
Did I have to learn?
Yeah, I pay attention to stuff here.
You know what,
It
I
disappears.
think we should put it in a frame or something. It would be harder to.
It'd be harder.
Well, I'll put it away and then we'll tack it up for verification.
I had a black piece
After Dennis did.
that was there, and that vaporized about 3 years ago. It just said peace,
Oh.
in black.
That's Saunders.
Well, it is here.
Well,
Well, it's the white card, the letters, it just says
Okay.
peace.
it's about this size.
Oh, really?
I know it's sort of a dark green.
Lots of stuff starting to coloring.
I forget what.
Well,
We sort of changed.
I thought about that, there was indigenous peoples there, we had that in the numbers. But that would be a great time to do a bunch of runs for the wall.
Yeah, we had two.
I could bring one.
I agree.
Many.
Leave them on the wall.
Oh, we don't need anything. Indigenous peoples.
I'm so glad I got that, so.
Yeah, I've been wondering about this forever. I remember this one that was a little game, and I think Cheryl gave us that. This is, anyway, I mean.
So good, so.
So you found it over there?
Yeah, I'm sure it would.
So what is the plan today? I see
Put
some.
it over there. It was like guitar, he's sitting on it instead of a sermon. This thing could walk away, so.
That's what it is.
So now it's back.
This is the annual meeting.
Trust you that.
Thank you so
Whatever you
much.
can do. Actually, we did have indigenous peoples.
I don't know if we're.
It just was in November.
Yes.
And I thought about maybe hanging some down space.
Well, let's do that next.
We'll do it next time.
And I got some hope we can see that.
You have that.
You mentioned school down there.
And,
We can put those up here. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Somebody else, well, yeah, somebody else.
Follow your lead and roll up my.
Oh, it's, Lou, Andrew.
Oh, it is, oh, okay.
Okay. That gives me an idea.
They're either dead or they quit.
I've had Navajo women tell me I can make more money than dollars.
They're making roads, you know.
And that's really true. You think about the hour that goes into it.
Also,
That's when they work at McDonald's.
No, the young are weaving. It's a lost start.
There was an article in Arizona Highways that there are men who are the craft
Yes, I heard
motivated,
that.
motivated to do that, which is curious.
Pure love. But you know, it's a matriarchal society,
Yeah.
so if mom's a weaver,
Yeah.
one of the sons. I don't
Well, or if they're way out on the sticks.
do that.
The
Trail, Weavers up in, 2 Mile.
Oh, yeah.
I think they have been weaving.
No.
Those are.
You got the receiving line. Good.
I have never seen it.
Are you?
There's also,
I did.
I've only tried it.
So another blade.
Wasn't clear about 2 hours. And it was a day. Out of those 5, I chose 2. The person who sent 3, they're all.
Did they send that church?
I asked them.
I got all their
I'll send them.
Yeah, I thought it was. There was I had trouble seeing the documents, but I finally got it worked out.
No, it's good.
So it's a curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
And if
You
it's.
usually get together with some folks.
Yeah, Tuesday morning.
Tuesday night.
Lays,
Yeah.
Lydia just like.
Okay, good.
Oh, last week, because all three of us.
we want Cincinnati to beat Kansas City. We want San Francisco to beat.
Can they come to where we're the same? But I love seeing her because she's so intuitive with that so much. And then I just want to know why.
Here's what I like to think. You're starting quarterback. Not her first game. Super bad actually.
One second, sir.
Yeah, Baylor started the year before, he was on the outfield. That wasn't even allowed to practice the team. They needed to put him in. And he got it. Hey, all they had was with the last person taking the draft.
Yeah, she's not.
It's called Mr. Cobell.
You know, it's.
Nobody won it. It's put him
We
in.
had lunch together.
And he's won 8 games in a row.
Oh,
He's won 8 games in a row. And it's speaking of today, to be the first quarterback.
Oh, I thought she was,
That's just Cinderella. Not too bad. There's traffic everywhere. Yeah, we got very cold.
I've never had against football. I'll tell you that. So this is, we don't record it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
but, yeah.
And we're gonna debut it on the first Sunday of Lent. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's all.
There was some big
Oh, yeah. We did, all this about it.
But I know guys.
Yeah. I think hi, Heidi. They're warm.
This sounds like a discussion.
He's only just, then you drive too fast.
Well, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, mountain community. I love snow this time of year because it just adds a layer of sparkle over all the dead things out there, or dormant things out there. And it kind of makes you appreciate the warmth and the feeling of togetherness as well. We do have one announcement today, Dennis.
about 2 years ago, when I did the order for the new hymnals, I thought I had ordered the accompaniment book because of the hymnals. And I didn't really think about it until about a month ago, that we had never received it. And this is what it looks like, except it's the new version. I have looked high and low in this church for this accompaniment book. We actually ordered 2, and they're quite expensive. So if you see them around, I don't know what happened, and I've spoken with the person who clarified the order at First Sunlight, and Paul, you brought everything down. So it's a mystery I'm trying to solve. And it looks just like this, except it's purple. So let me know if you see them. Thank you.
All right, let's take a moment to quiet ourselves and be able to enter into all of the information and worship that we have ahead of us today. If you guys would like to join me in the call to worship, I will read the one, and if you can join me on the many. Holy One, who may abide in your sanctuary, who may dwell in your sacred creation, those who do justice, those who confront inequities and uplift the oppressed. Holy One, who may abide in your sanctuary, who may dwell in your sacred creation, who love kindness, those who love neighbor, friend, and foe. Holy One, who may abide in your sanctuary, who may dwell in your sacred creation. Those who walk humbly with you, those who follow your lead and answer your call. On the third one that we read together, those who love neighbor, friend, and foe, I always find it interesting that foes are included. That shows that no matter how hard we try, there will be foes. Lord, thank you for gathering us here together today. Please help us to be able to be both in your presence and have discernment on how to continue your work in this community. Please keep your hand upon the speakers today and all of those who are listening. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Please turn in your hymnals to number 22. What is this place? And please stand if you would. 22. What is this place where we are meeting? Only a house, the earth its floor, walls and a roof, sheltering people, windows for light, an open door. Yet it becomes a body that lives when we are gathered here, and know our God is near. Words from afar, stars that are falling, sparks that are sown in us like seed, names for our God, dreams, signs, and wonders sent from the past are what we need. We in this place remember and speak again what we have heard. God's free redeeming word. And we accept bread at his table, broken and shared, a living sign. Here in this world, dying and living, we are each other's bread and wine. This is the place where we can receive what we need to increase God's justice and God's peace. You may be seated.
morning. It's good to be back with you in the bleak midwinter, as we say, although it was quite shiningly beautiful as well. So, what do we have to bring to prayer this morning? What is on our hearts?
Oddly, I have a joy, and it's
Okay.
not going to sound like one.
Do we generally consider you to be not a very joyful person? Is that?
Generally.
I see. Okay.
I'll try and get through it without crying. That song I love, and I've always loved dreams, signs, and wonderings, because wonderings is such an unusual, great word. So my very best friend has been lost in the woods for a week in Taos.
Yes.
And the joy I have is that on his birthday, or right around there, which was at the beginning of January, he called and he was breathless because he was so happy that he was looking at a ram out of his window.
Oh, wow.
And you don't see rams in that area. So he said, I'm looking at the ram, and the ram is looking at me. It feels like a sign.
Oh. Well, I sure hope he can be found. Faye told me about this yesterday, too. So, yeah, that's really scary and strange that he's gone. But it sounds like you have a wonderful friendship. So that's really cool. Yeah.
I had a long email from Dan Thiessen this week, and Judy's illness is progressing rapidly, her ALS. She's lost all speech, and she's nourished primarily by a feeding tube. He said she'll occasionally take some food by mouth. She's also lost some movement of her right side and her foot and hand. She uses a walker. Dan has learned to do the transfers that are necessary. And she's still breathing on her own, but the respiratory failure, there's signs of that coming. They did take a road trip to Tucson recently. That's where they met, and they have some very good friends there. So he said they cannot predict the future. There's been a lot of support from their children, some who live in Anchorage and Seattle and also on the East Coast. So remember Dan, he said it's tough going.
Yeah, for sure. We sure will remember.
I think it's her birthday today, too,
Oh.
so.
I also talked with Dan this week, and it is her birthday. The kids are there for probably her last birthday, if the truth be known. But I was just thinking that maybe you could give Dan a call or write them a card. He doesn't have any outside caretakers except for his children who are next door. So basically, he told me she really doesn't walk with a walker, and she's really unable to almost to start anymore with the transfers because her whole right side is gone and her left is going. Yeah. So the transfers are becoming more and more difficult. So, and he's such a quiet kind of guy that, he doesn't really share as much as some of the rest of us, but please keep them in your prayer.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it's Dan's cell phone is what I always call. I'll make sure you have it. Do you have a mailing address, Gail? I don't know. I can double check that as well.
Whoever has it, why don't you send an email to Ray with the address, the phone number that we can text, and then Ray can send it out to everybody.
Yeah.
On a happier note, I have 9 treatments left, and seems to be going well, and I want to thank this congregation for prayers and lifting me up. I can't tell you how much it means to have a community around me. Thank you.
We sure are praying for you, Paul.
I just want to say how happy I am for all this snow. We need it. Colorado is desperate for water, not only in the mountains, but down here in the drylands too, in the plains and so forth. Maybe you're not in the plains, but we are. So I appreciate all the snow. I mean, I love snow anyway, but I think it's just, this is something that's desperately needed, and I'm glad to see it happening really more and more all over nationally too.
It would also lift up our national culture right now. There have been a lot of shootings as well as the horrific video of the beating. And it can feel pretty awful. And so prayers for healing of our rage and our differences, and for places that community is broken, I think, and all of that. And then I don't know if any of you read the comic strip Pearls Before Swine. I don't know if you get that one at all. But they had a really good bit. One of the characters was tired of the regular news, so switched over to this other news where it said thousands of people successfully got up this morning and went to their jobs, you know, and millions of people loved their families, and you know, so there was all of that news too, that could be news, but it doesn't become our news, and so we begin to think everything is awful. And so it is truly awful. I mean, there are truly awful things. And Asian colleague that I work with in some other work that I do in Courage and Renewal was saying how she felt so devastated by the shootings in California. And then at the same time, the connectivity of the community is very powerful. So it is always both of those things. Anyway, I just wanted to lift up our national culture and pray for healing and reconciliation and peace. Anne.
I finally got my head together enough to thank you people for all you've done for me, and for the Christmas gift, and for the cards and everything that has come my way from this community. I really, really appreciate it and need it. And it does lift me up.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anne. Rick, Jordan, I mean, not Rick, Jake. Rick at one end and Jake at the other.
I just wanted to, we remember Rick and Linda, we stopped by this week just for a few minutes, and the surgery went real well, but she's having side effects. She kind of is a struggle, so she's just remember them as they're working through all this.
Now, who is this?
Rick and Linda Pancratz.
Oh, yeah. That's right. She had surgery scheduled, didn't she? Okay, yeah. Still in the hospital. Wow. Yeah, we'll remember them. All right, let us join together in prayer. Spirit of life, I thank you for the morning, for the beauty of the winter's day. Even in the midst of the cold, we find our way to warmth, and especially we find our way to warmth in our love for each other and in your Spirit. We are so grateful for that, to be able to gather in that way. So grateful for the culture of this congregation, for the culture of mutual care, the commitment to nonviolence, the commitment to remembering and praying constantly. And we also pray for our national culture, that there may be truth and reconciliation, healing, care, peacemaking. Teach us your ways, even in this big picture. Especially remember this morning Gina's best friend who is lost right now. May your Spirit be with him and give him strength. We pray for recovery and finding him soon, or may he find his way back. And grateful for the joy of that relationship, for the wonder of a good friendship. We are grateful for the gift of the snow. What an unusual January this has been, where our ground is constantly covered, and what a blessing that feels like in a time when it feels like there is so much drought all around. We pray especially for Judy this morning and for Dan. Give them a strong sense that there are people who love them well. Give them a strong sense of the eternal care and faithfulness of your Spirit. May they know that whatever the road has for them, that there is love out ahead of them. And we're so grateful for our brother Paul. 9 treatments to go. Be with him. Give him strength of body. May he know that there are many surrounding him and loving him. And we also remember Linda in the hospital and Rick. May healing come quickly to her. Give her strength of body. And we're so grateful for our sister Ann and for all she is among us here. What a wonderful presence. What a privilege to know Ann. And so for each one of us here this morning, grant us your peace. May we go from here encouraged in your Spirit. May joy be ours. Amen.
Always thankful for God's goodness to us. It is now our opportunity to give back to his work financially if you want to bring your offering forward as the music plays. Our scripture for today's meeting is Acts chapter 2, verses 43 through 47, and I am reading the King James Version. And all that believed were together and had all things in common, and sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men, as every man had need. And they, continuing daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved.
Okay, we are going to actually share in communion now because we're going to need to go downstairs for our meeting, Mary says. But I do want to highlight just one little bit from our Bible passage that I will be talking about more next week. But this is a pretty well-known Bible passage where the new followers of Jesus gather and they have all things in common and so on. You kind of know this passage probably. One thing that I notice this time in reading it is that it begins with the word awe. They gathered in awe. And I invite us to consider that, from Gina's story about her friend to the beauty of snow, to the miracle of care that I'm sure is even in Judy and Dan's life at this time, is this awe that can be ours, that we don't gather in narrowness or scarcity or bitterness, but the invitation in faith is to start living out of awe. And that is amazing. And I would love to spend the next hour and a half talking about that with you, but maybe we will. Maybe that's what we'll be talking about in our congregational meeting. But I lift up awe for you, and next week we'll be having a little bit more extended reflection about that. So let us join together then in communion. And Jana, we do have the gluten-free, you brought your crackers, and we also have a separate cup for you to dip into, just so you know that's all there. And anybody else, if you need gluten-free. And I also have hand sanitizer here if you need it. Jesus said, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger." What a promise of abundance and constancy and faithfulness. And who believes in me will never thirst. And so Christ's love is poured into our lives. Let's say treatment by treatment, hour by hour, day by day. Christ's love is poured into our lives. May we receive it. These gifts are ours, these gifts of abundance. So let us receive them and let us offer ourselves in abundance to each other as we join together in communion. Thanks for these gifts, for this congregation, for the gathering and the goodness that is here. And may each one of us experience encouragement, healing, wholeness, now and in the coming days. Amen. So let us proceed downstairs. Are you going to say something? Okay.
So, we're all sitting around talking about what we should do. So apparently, I was thinking that other churches would be coming in a little bit sooner. So hustle, talk about kind of the whole thing. Why don't we stay up here? And then if we run out of time, we can go downstairs. But I guess the other church doesn't come in until about 11:15. Maybe we can get everything done before then. And then, we're a small group. I think we can manage to be flexible if possible. If we get into some long discussions, a couple of issues that are, obviously the budget's always important, and then our leadership. I'd like to have some discussion on that. But is everybody good with just staying up here and then we go down if we run out of time? I think it's good to be a communion together first. How about if we take a 5-minute break for people to go to the restroom, get a drink? Bart's got pizza over there. I know it's early, but we promised pizza, so by golly, we got pizza. You could just go over there, get a small slice, something to drink, whatever, help yourselves. Take a 5-minute break and then we'll get back here to work still.
There you go.
Can everybody start gathering, please? Can we start gathering? What's that? Yeah, really. No, I think
All right, that's it. Keep that in mind.
All right.
Hello, hello. We're starting the meeting. Everybody take your places, please.
On top of it's the only valve.
Can everybody hear me if I don't use the mic? I'm going to hand out the agenda. Please share. I didn't see that on that one. Here's an extra. Yeah, let's make a couple more. Maybe 5 more.
Is the office open downstairs?
Oh, no.
Okay. I'll get it. Okay.
As soon as Bertie comes back, we'll start the meeting.
Oh, you know, already. I'm just gonna give him the key.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's coming now. Oh, he's coming. Dara's coming. Okay, so we're good.
Okay. So, let's start the meeting and Vern will have an opening prayer.
All right, let's join together in an attitude of prayer. Our God, thanks for the gathering. Thanks for these people. Give us wisdom and understanding and a sense of your abiding joy with us in this conversation. Amen.
So here we are a year later, and we're still going strong. You know, we're a little bit smaller than we were probably last year, but I think we still have a very, very strong congregation with a lot of very dedicated people. So with that, I wanted to go over ground rules. You know me, I like to have ground rules about how meetings are operated. And mainly, the important thing is I don't think we need a mic today because we've got, you know, people can speak up loud enough. But the main thing is to speak loud enough, really respect what other people are saying, listen, to discern, pay attention. We really would like to have some discussion about a couple of items. You know, if we don't, maybe that means everything's really good and nobody has any issues. But I think one of the things that we're concerned about is, or talked about is, we are smaller and what does the future look like? And one of the, you know, I mean, 2 of those things is budget and leadership, basically.
Mary, do we need to be concerned about people listening in on Zoom, therefore we need the mic? I don't know.
I don't know.
There might be some people who are attending a meeting.
Nobody on.
Oh, you're just recording.
It's being recorded. I can hear Indian, somehow must have Indian mic or something. I can hear sound coming through here, but I think we're okay.
Okay.
I can just speak up. I don't need a microphone.
Okay.
There's a lot of people can't hear.
Do you want a mic to be used?
It's up to you.
I mean, for the Zoom?
Zoom is okay, I follow people who kind of.
Oh.
Who would like to have us use a mic? Okay, then everybody just really be aware when you're speaking that you kind of lift your voice up a little bit so everybody can hear. And if you can't hear, just raise your hand so that people can speak up a little bit, So basically that's it on ground rules, just really have respect for each other, pay attention, and it does help me if you raise your hand rather than just start talking, but I'm not, I'm not your teacher or your instructor, so I'm not gonna say anything if you don't, but I think it does help so that we can kind of call on people. So with that, I'd like to just go into the next portion, which is approving of the minutes, and Ray sent those out. I hope everybody looked at them. That was from last year's meeting. And if no one does anyone have anything they wanted to bring up about last year's minutes? So if not, can somebody move to approve?
I move to approve.
Angela moves.
I'll second.
Dar seconds. All in favor? Say 5. We do fists for 5, so just 5. Or fist. Easy. We also sent out all the commission reports, and hopefully you read those. That was, we had the budget, so you could review that ahead of time, as well as what everybody's been doing. And obviously, we hope that if you have questions or concerns about what leadership is doing, that you would just come and talk to us. We do rather short reports because there's just too many things going on, and so if there wasn't something that you had, something in one of the reports that you might have had an interest in or a question about, please let us know. So we don't really approve reports, but just wanted to see, does anybody have any questions about any of the commissions and what they're doing? Okay, moving on. So I had budget as the next item, but there's also the vote on commission positions. That's going to be a little bit of a discussion too, because we have some positions that need to be filled. We're reorganizing a little bit because of the limited number of people that we have to fill the positions. So I'm going to ask you all, would you rather do budget first or commission voting? Let's say budget. Raise your hands if you want budget first. Okay, 1. Commission, 2. Commission discussion? Okay, well, let's just go to the commission. It really won't take that long. So as I think most of you probably saw, if you were looking at your emails that Ray sent out the ballot, and if you already voted, that's fine. We did ask you to sign it. So if you did vote via email, then please don't vote again today. But otherwise, we'll do the fist of 5 voting process here today. So what I wanted to talk about was the first 2 are very obvious. Worship Commission, Dennis, Joan, and Gail will continue on. Haven't heard anybody stepping out of that. And Dennis, thank you for leading. I thank everybody for being part of worship. It's such a huge part of what we do. Our spiritual leadership, our time together on Sunday, extremely important. So the 3 of them are going to continue on. Elders, we have Barb and Wilmer. And if you saw on the ballot when it went out, Wilmer will be elder until around September. At that time, he's going to step down, and he's going to be in and out of church for the next year, basically. And so we will need somebody to replace him. You have plenty of time to think about it. So I'm asking all of you to think about maybe stepping in. You can talk to Barb or Vern about what elders do, what they've been doing in the last year or two, and see if you might be interested. I think you meet do you meet every month, or do you?
Every 6 weeks.
Every 6 weeks. So there's not a lot of administrative, meetings. In fact, that's kind of how we've come overall in all of our commissions. We're not doing we're not doing monthly meetings. So it's not a huge commitment in terms of, meeting up with people and so forth. So anyway, consider that. Stewardship is something that we talked about on Friday. We had our last program cabinet meeting. So there's a lot of things that, again, we're downsizing our church, we're downsizing the number of people that can step into positions. And so treasurer and the stewardship position has been kind of a tricky one. Dar's stepping down from being treasurer after today. I think he'll be doing some duties to fill in and help out. But in terms of actually having a treasurer position, we're not going to do that. We're hoping to hire somebody, a contractor, to do accounting, to do our bookwork, to take care of that sort of thing. Dar is willing to work with that person, help, train, talk about how we do our treasury, how we do our bookwork. I think you even maybe talked about doing the narrative budget, perhaps. This is kind of as needed. That Dar would be involved as needed, but he'd like to step out. He has some other things he'd like to do. Paul?
Point of order, this church, when it was incorporated, is registered with the Secretary of State. And I'd encourage someone to look into that. That incorporation requires only 2 positions. One of them is a treasurer.
Okay.
So, the contractor cannot serve in that position. Certainly couldn't support that position, but I think we might want to consider someone at least as a figurehead to be the treasurer.
Well, that's kind of the stewardship position. Is kind of what we're talking. We were talking about a point person for the financial that would oversee the contractor. So yeah, the contractor would not be our treasurer. So the stewardship person being that point person, and we haven't worked it all out. But that person would attend the meetings and be a commission voting position. So the point person for financial, the point person for our renters, because at this point Dar does that, all of the renters, when organizing the schedule, who's using the church when we come to holidays, everybody wants to kind of switch things around and meet at different times, and at this point he's been taking care of, all of that. And then also the point person for grounds keep. We don't have a ton of things that need to be done, but we need somebody who is closer in location that can be contacted to say, well, like for instance, right now Dar has a contractor for snow plow. And, we were talking in our last meeting about grounds keep in terms of maybe some mowing here and there. We might be able to have a contractor do that as well. But we need a person, stewardship, that would be the point person for all of that and would attend meetings as a commission person. So I don't know if that fulfills what you're talking about, because it's truly not a treasurer position. So
I think they could be both.
they can be both, but I mean in terms of, like you said, that that we're registered to have a treasurer per se.
The chair of stewardship could be a treasurer.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is that you have somebody named in the nonprofit incorporation. That's what matters, is that have somebody named the treasurer, and then what it's specifically they do with that is they don't care about that. But I have a couple of notes about this. One is that we hired a contractor to do our books at the Lubbock Community, and she at one point failed to check a box that we do not need to withhold Social Security, and it took John years to get that error corrected. And so it's important that when we hire a contractor that it not be some generic contractor, that somebody who knows something about church bookkeeping and finance, because there are some particularities there with the nonprofit world and also with having an employee who doesn't have to pay Social Security tax, me, that makes things a little quirky. And we finally, the IRS was fining us and everything, so it was pretty exciting. John was eventually able to get the base amount refunded that they said we owed, but we never could get the fines back, of course. So we know that that goes to helping pursue taxes of billionaires, so that we don't feel bad about that. But so that's just one little cautionary tale, I guess, about contractors. And the other thing is, I think we really do need somebody who has the heart of the congregation in mind for writing the narrative budget. I mean, theoretically, I could write that, or Paul could write that, or Dar could write that. But I think we have to have somebody who understands what this congregation is about and can do that as a stewardship piece. I think that's really an important bit to have that narrative budget reflect that sensibility, so it isn't just dollars and cents.
Yeah, good. I love having this kind of feedback because it's a discussion that we spent quite a bit of time on last Friday, and we don't have it nailed down. I mean, that's the whole point. We need, you're not going to be voting on somebody today. It's open. So this is the kind of information we need, and we need people to let us know. If you know a good contractor that could do that, and I know we talked about John, and that's not out of, that's not out of the realm. It's just that we're trying to figure out how to have enough people, enough commission folks to be able to vote and have a quorum, and we need to have, people fulfilling the obligations and the responsibilities, and obviously financially huge. Yeah.
Fuel Church uses this building probably the most, is that not true?
Yeah, as Dar, I think that's.
I'm just wondering if we could seek their assistance of who they use to do their church books, and if possibly they could maybe take some of the stuff off of that stewardship position and just be responsible for, say, the exterior as part of being good renters. I mean, if you rent a house, you take care of your yard. I don't know if there's been any discussion with them or not, but they seem to be good people. I mean, they've got to have somebody that does their books somehow.
One of the things, yeah, and I like that. I mean, we can talk to them about that. I don't know, Dar, do you want to talk about what the different churches do here? Because we do have each church with some responsibilities. Do you want to just give an overview of kind of what each one fulfills?
It's in my report, what each one does.
Oh, okay.
How they do that, it's under the group, but I.
Well, one church cleans, I forget which one that is.
Jewish.
The Messianic one cleans.
On Saturday.
They clean on Friday and meet on Saturday morning.
And there's a fair amount of sharing financially for a variety of things, like I said, in the report about phones and things like that. Can you come up here and just? Sure.
Okay, the first thing with Social Security and all that stuff, we use a contracted ministry works that manages our payrolls and tax requirements and all that stuff. So, that's really pretty much a lifesaver as far as all of the regulations and stuff. They keep up on that, and we just pay, I don't know, it's like $300 a year or something at most. Of course, the more employees you have, the more it costs. Keelat Messianic Church does the cleaning. Prior to them doing the cleaning, we were paying about $5,000 a year. I'm sure it's more than that now. So we just look at that as income. Of course, Silver Key Senior Services is no longer with us. They've moved to the community center, and I think in May or June, we'll be turning everything over to Silver Key as far as the van and transportation and everything. Of course, Palmer Lake Arts Group uses a portion of for their storage here, and that's $300 annually. Fuel Church, we split the snow removal 3 ways. We pay a third, Fuel pays a third, and United Church of God pays a third. So that's $458 for snow removal. They pay half of our Comcast, so that's income to us. Comes back in, and that is $2,388. And then building use, their rent is $1,250 a month. Jim, which is one of the congregants in Fuel Church, replaces light bulbs and does little jobs around the church. He comes in during the week and does things presently. United Church of God meets on Saturday afternoon, and their building use is $5,400 a year, and they have, like April 4th, they'll be doing some kind of special service here from 6 to 10, so they have the ability to go outside of that Saturday in the contract. So, are there any questions about any of that?
So that just gives an idea of some of the sharing that we do have going on right now. Did anybody have any questions about that? So keep in mind that this is a position that we think is very important. It's open. We are open to discussion about how to dissect it or put it together or whatever. But, we're losing our treasurer, and, that entails a lot. So I'd like to ask you to discern, where your interests and your skills are and what you can do for us. That's good for now, Dar. The other position that's open is the one that I'm in, program cabinet chair. And my position has been, I've been in position for 4 years. I'm just ready to step down and do some other things. It's a very enjoyable position. I really enjoy working with everybody. It's a coordinating position. It doesn't take huge effort, and we meet usually as program cabinet twice or every other month, so about 6 times a year, unless we have some special planning and organizing to do. I usually make up the agenda and coordinate, make sure everybody's, submitting things that are supposed to be submitted and that sort of thing. I mean, you could just imagine somebody that just makes sure that everybody is on the same page and that information gets to Ray so she can put it into notes or minutes or whatever we need to do so that it's available. At this point, we don't have anybody in this position either, so the cabinet will probably take turns, each person takes turns taking on those duties until we have somebody that's actually ready to step in and do the job. Dennis mentioned at our last meeting, perhaps you can do it from a Zoom or a conference call kind of thing, some of it. I think you can if you're just trying to keep things coordinated. I do believe that people need to be together to have discussions and that sort of thing. As a better, that's the better option. But if you find that you might be interested in the position, but you think, oh, we travel a lot and that sort of thing, consider helping out. So today that position is also open. There are only 2 positions that we'll be voting on for today, which is the worship and elders. And then the other 2 that I wanted to talk about, we've taken nurture and outreach out of the positions of voting and commission positions. Nurture is something that Dar's very interested in, and he wants to take that over, and it's going to be organizing any kind of social events, whether it's our potlucks, any other special things, holidays, when we have funerals, setting up tables, getting food organized, coordinating all of that, and he's very interested. If anybody else wants to, help out with that, please let him know. It could just be from event to event, like, hey, I'd really like to help out with that event. That's a big event, or whatever, So he's going to be coordinating that position. And then outreach, we kind of decided, this church is a big outreach church, and we don't want to drop our opportunities. It's really important. We can be part of the bigger church, the conferences. There's a lot of things to do with that. There's always work and effort and financial support, but we felt like maybe if individuals have an idea that they would like to do a particular project, nothing really big, but just the kinds of things we've been doing over the years, take your kind of plan what that would look like and take that idea to program cabinet and let them kind of bless it. And then we feel like, if we could do two outreach programs or projects per year, that would be good. So just really consider, thinking about some of those important things that we can do. So at that point, does anybody have any more questions or discussion on what we've just talked about in terms of positions? Okay, does somebody want to move to approve the 2 positions that we have filled?
So moved.
Second. Dar seconds. So we'll vote this to 5. Okay. So moved. So approved. Moved and approved. Okay, thank you. If you have any other thoughts after this, please
just, you know, go to one of the commissioners and talk to them. So the next would be the budget.
Has everybody had the opportunity to review the narrative? Yes, so. I have copies of the numbers. Does anybody want that for kind of follow along?
Is this part of it? There's a blank in between each section.
There's 2 pages, so there's 3 total. Okay, on page 7 of the narrative, I explained general fund, building fund, capital fund, shortfall, outreach, and elders. We purchased a solar system, which kind of really made it quite complex to do the numbers. But we transferred $10,000 out of the building fund to accommodate doing the solar. And through the year, our income was as such that I paid pretty much everything out of the general fund. So our standing is the same now as it was last year. So we still have to close out with Gail and Jana with the final reckoning of solar, but we have more than enough funds in the building fund to be able to deal with that. And people were pretty generous in giving, I feel. And we're basically paying about $70 a month or so for our electricity. Unfortunately, our natural gas has doubled. But we can't really do anything about that. So maybe in the future we would look at adding some electrical things. Go ahead, Ray. I would agree. Mm-hmm.
Following up with trying to find money and stuff, and that was one big project, so I think we ought to.
Thank you. So, you know, in the long term, like I said in the report, we really haven't ran it for a full year, but we've already got credits, and the credits are there offsetting our electrical costs, so it's pretty cool. As it moves along, we'll be able to do more with that. So basically, our fund balance is $73,500, and our overall total is $84,110.30. One of the things that happened this year was Guide 1 pulled out of Colorado, so we were without any insurances. So when Church Mutual came in, we had talked about valuing our property and our building. Well, they have a program that the appraisers use to value properties or value the building, And so they ran that through, and our church building is valued at $1,300,000. And there's another thing that they turned me on to, which is this property evaluator based on what's going on in this locale, and you can go in and enter zip codes, and then it tells you the value of land per acre. So it's kind of a median thing. And that number was $547,000 per acre here. So I believe we have like 1.3 acres here. And so that gives us land value of $754,860. So our net worth of all assets is $2,138,970. So that, we finally finagled our way through getting that without spending $5,000 to have a commercial appraisal done. So financially, people are very, very generous with your time, treasure, and talents, and we continue to move along. I did lower our giving revenue for this year, and that's kind of based on the economy. I know that predominantly a pretty large portion of our congregation is on fixed income, and as things continue to rise, I just put that there. We usually beat those numbers. We came in at, I think, 54,000 from the congregation last year. Unfortunately, our building use has become a pretty big part of this, keeping this church going. It's the equivalent of about 5 or 6 major, what they call giving units in the church. So, are there any questions on the dollars? On the budget? Go ahead.
I just have a comment. I really appreciate Ray's work as office manager and keeping the lights on in this congregation. And I hope we make sure that she gets remunerated for that.
Yep. We had a long time, treasure, and talent. The 3 T's. And one of the things I do want to say about the treasurer position, I'm not going to walk out and leave this church without what it needs. I pretty much figure I'll be involved throughout this coming year, getting everything set up and done, and hopefully just not at the level that I'm doing right now. I really like to do some projects with nurture type things where, maybe we have a pancake breakfast for the community, work on our annual music thing. We've got some ideas to do there. Maybe going to the park for over to the lake for potlucks and those types of things. So.
And Darla, we're talking about it, 4 years ago when you and Mary assumed leadership in this congregation, you saved our bacon. And
No, thank you.
doing that in the background tirelessly, both of you. And I know how challenging to a relationship to have 2 leaders in one family, and you both gave selflessly.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for that.
So one of the things that Mary was talking about with outreach, in the outreach fund, we still have a current fund balance of $12,000. So if you have ideas to bring to program cabinet, we have the finances to do outreach projects. We have the finances to support travel. We have the finances to do whatever the commissions, whatever the program cabinet would authorize. So it's all there. And I think, you know, for a small church like this, we really have, you know, finances is not our problem. It really isn't. Everybody's very generous, and we've set this property up to be utilized to keep us moving down the road. So are there any questions at all? Concerns? We were able to give our pastor a little COLA raise, but we were gonna go in and find out what the actual cost of living raise would be, and I said, no, we cannot afford that because because that number seems to keep climbing for some reason. Well, with that, thank you a lot. Appreciate it.
Okay, so did anybody have any comments or questions regarding the budget and what you just heard? Before we vote on it. Okay, so then I'll ask for somebody to move to approve. To approve. Angela, anybody second? Second. Jordan? And let's vote, the usual 55. Okay. Been approved. All right, yay. So, and Paul, I thank you for your words, and I appreciate everybody, you know, for your support. I'm obviously not going anywhere either. I just want to do some other things. I'm sort of interested in some outreach projects. I think it would be fun. I love to facilitate. I love to coordinate things, so I'm around to help with that. And I've said to anybody that wants to step into the program cabinet position, if you don't like to facilitate meetings or, you know, be up in front of people and that sort of thing, I'm always ready to do that. You know, if you could just, you know, take a position where you can help manage the meetings. They're very interesting. They're a fun group of people. We have some rowdy meetings, sometimes really fun stuff. So I encourage you to think about maybe, you know, that. And Paul, I would ask for any input that you have from your past experience being pastor here and so forth, and you know, helping us maybe coordinate that stewardship position a little bit better. Maybe we have to tease it out, you know, a little more intricately so we can have people, maybe not one person. I don't know how that's going to look. It was an idea that we came up with. Yeah, Angela.
Paul, you said that there were two positions that were required with the state of Colorado. It was treasurer, and what's the other one?
I believe, I'll have to check the statute, but I believe it is the chair.
Okay, so stewardship could be contracted out, but the treasurer would be preferable to have somebody more intricately involved.
Even a figurehead.
Okay.
They don't need to be intricately involved, but you have to have a designee, both for chair of the congregation and for treasurer.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Yeah, I was going to ask that myself. Anybody else before we close? Yeah. Oh, wait a minute, Jake. Jake, yeah, let me just get Jake.
Yes, was we supposed to vote online? I didn't vote online, or we don't have to.
If you were not coming to this meeting to vote in person, that was,
Yeah. Bird.
Okay. My leg fell asleep.
All right, I have a presentation to make. As many of you know, I am a baker. I used to bake in college. Marilyn is also a fabulous baker, in case you didn't know that, and so are many of you. But anyway, Mary and Dar, I wanted to present you with this. This is a whole wheat, egg-washed boule loaf. It's a specialty bread that has a lot of interesting processes to make it. It's really fun to make. So I made one for you, and I thank you very much. I think of you, Dar, as our priceless treasurer. And Mary, I think of you as our felicitous facilitator. So that's how my brain works. But anyway, thank you so much for your wonderful presence. And so this is just a token recognition, but really, really appreciate you. It's been so good. Yeah.
We don't have to ever stop at meters. With that, I think we'll just adjourn the meeting, and please have more pizza.
Thank you.
And we still have time, you guys did good.
Whoops.